If this is your first time here, welcome. You've joined us at a very pinnacle moment in Apis' career because we have to decide which rogue archetype we take, ranger archetype that we take. Ranger types, Apis can choose from the following ranger archetypes. Beastmaster, friendship between civilized races and the beasts of the world. Gloomstalker, at home in the darkest of places. Horizon Walker, guards the world against the threats that originate from the other planes. Hunter, a bulwark between civilization and the terrors of the wilderness. And Monster Slayer, dedicated to hunting down creatures of the night and wielders of grim magic. So we're going to be choosing from them in a moment. So let me go through them for you. Let me go through them a little bit. In fact, let's do it with the player's handbook, because why not? It's all good. There's no wrong choices, except Beastmaster. There's no wrong choices. You can choose whichever one you think would make for the funnest stories. So let's start with Beastmaster. Have a listen to what Beastmaster can do for us, and think about whether that seems like it would be right for Apis as the character as you know so far. Beastmaster. Tell you what I can do. I can zoom in on this, can I? Let's cut that down. Give ourselves some more room here. And then you can see a bit better. Beastmaster would make for the weird situation that Mel couldn't act unless commanded by Apis. Only if you took Mel as your beast. I wouldn't say that has to be the case. You don't have to take Mel. If you do choose to go with Beastmaster, you can then choose who your beast is going to be. That will be a subsequent decision that we have to make. You can choose to have Mel, the giant bee, as your companion, or you can leave Mel as her own sentient creature and have a different companion. Alright, so let's read Beastmaster. The Beastmaster archetype embodies a friendship between the civilized races and the beasts of the wild. United in focus, Beast and Ranger fight the monsters that threaten civilization and the wilderness alike. At third level, so this level, you would get a Ranger's Companion. You gain a Beast Companion that accompanies you on your adventures and is trained to fight alongside you. Choose a beast that is no larger than medium and has a challenge rating of a quarter or lower. So there's a whole bunch of those I'll be able to tell you because Spidey NZ, if you're in the chat, he gave me a gift today. Some creature and NPC cards. How cool is that? It's like a little cheat blocks, easy stat cards for all of the well, not all of them, but a lot of the different beasts that you can be. Makes it real easy for the druids to be like, I can wild shape into a pony, and then they get the pony card out and read all about ponies and the stats and things. It's pretty cool. So you would pick one of these creatures, anything that says challenge rating of a quarter or less, and you'd be like, this is my creature now. You add your proficiency bonus to the beast's armor class, attack rolls, and damage rolls, so they're a souped up version of that animal, as well as any saving throws and skills that it's proficient in. Its hit point maximum will equal the hit point number in its stat block, or 4 times your ranger level, whichever is higher. So if they've got less than 12 hit points, they've now got 12 hit points. And it gains 4 hit points every time you level up. Like any creature, it can spend hit dice during a short rest to regain hit points. The beast obeys your commands as best it can. It takes its turn on your initiative, though it doesn't take an action unless you command it to. So basically, for free, you can tell it to move, but unless you use your action to give it an action, it will just stand there dodging. So the ideal way to use a Beastmaster companion is you send it in next to your enemy, and it dodges, so it's like a wolf that's like standing next to it and bothering it. And it's dodging, so if they attack it, they've got disadvantage to hit it, so it's more likely to stay alive. And then it can be distracting or helping you, so that you have a better chance of hitting. And then if the bad guy moves away, your animal companion gets an attack of opportunity without you having to spend anything for it. That's basically the idea behind it. While travelling through your favourite terrain with only the beast, you can move stealthily at a normal pace. If the beast dies, you can obtain a new companion by spending 8 hours magically bonding with a beast that isn't hostile to you and meets the requirements. So, that's Beastmaster in a nutshell. Let's talk about pros and cons of Beastmaster, and then we'll move on with move on to one of the other classes to talk about. So, basically, the pros of Beastmaster are you get a cool animal companion. It might be cool for some roleplay. The cons are pretty much everything about it. It is widely regarded among anyone who knows 5th edition D&D that the Beastmaster subclass is the weakest subclass of any of the classes in D&D. It is crap. It is crap to the point where they acknowledged officially, hey, yeah, guys, we recognize that this is crap. We're going to try and fix it. And then they came out with a revised edition, which was kind of overpowered and not well balanced. And people were like, yeah. And so it was just, they kind of just ignored it, I think. It hasn't had another revision since then. They've had other stuff to be working on. So I personally wouldn't recommend this one. You can definitely still go with it if you want to, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it myself. It is widely regarded as not a good subclass. If, however, we do want to go with this one, I would definitely fix it. I would definitely put time into coming up with a fixed version of Beastmaster myself. I would take the revised version where they tried to fix it, and I would take this one, and I would find some middle ground where it actually was good to use. So if we really liked the roleplay idea of Beastmaster, I would definitely come up with my own homebrewed version of Beastmaster for you guys to actually use, where you would feel like it would have some sort of weight behind it, something that would actually work. So that's basically Beastmaster for you. I, in preparation for this, read Beastmaster and went, I would love to play a Beastmaster. Partly because I always like to play the challenge, ever since being basically forced into playing a barbarian, which at the time I didn't like, and then discovering that I really loved it. I've had this thing for going, yeah, I'll happily play any class and any subclass, because I've realised that my preconceived notion of a subclass is not necessarily how it plays out. And so I would love to have a situation where I can roll up a Beastmaster and just be like, let's see if it's fun. Let's see if I can find the fun in it. It's the one that is widely regarded as the crappiest of all of the subclasses. Can I find it? Find a way to make it fun. Basically, that's Beastmaster. So let's move on to Gloomstalker. Gloomstalkers are at home in the darkest of places, deep under the earth, in gloomy alleyways, in primeval forests, and wherever else the light dims. Most folk enter such places with trepidation. But a Gloomstalker ventures boldly into the darkness, seeking to ambush threats before they can reach the broader world. Such rangers are often found in the Underdark, but will go any place where the evil lurks in the shadows. So the pros and cons of Gloomstalker. It's a cool class for being like a shady individual that likes to hang about in the shadows and murder shadowy creatures. It's definitely something that we could imagine, being that we've been in a forest, in a very heavily canopied forest all of our lives. We've spent most of our lives in the canopy of a forest, so we're used to being in dim light. So that would make sense. We can make it work RP-wise because of that. The downsides are that it doesn't really feel like anything so far in the campaign hasn't really leaned towards Gloomstalker. I can definitely see us going with it if we wanted to. Anybody who's got anything to say about it, like pros or cons, about why you do or don't like it, please say so now in the chat. One of the cool things about Gloomstalker is that anything that relies on dark vision to see can't see you. If you're hiding in the darkness, you become invisible, even to things with dark vision. So that's pretty cool. Basically, it means that you want to stay in darkness as much as possible. You get bonuses to ambushing as well as this class. This class is made for being like a ranger rogue, effectively. What I found with a lot of the Xanathar's Guide to Everything subclasses, what I found was that Wizards of the Coast seemed to be going away from multiclassing as an option. They seemed to go, hey, if you want to play a ranger multiclassed with a rogue, why not just play a ranger Gloomstalker? If you want to play a bard multiclass with a rogue, why not play a bard, whatever it was, that was basically a bard College of Whispers. So a lot of these subclasses are like multi-class versions of other classes, effectively. Darkness doesn't really fit with the character. Yeah, being gloomy and broody doesn't really fit with the character, it seems. Apis doesn't seem to go there. So a lot of people are saying, Apis doesn't really fit the Gloomstalkery type. Bit too cheerful, yeah. I've always played Apis as a bit too cheerful with this. Yeah, it fits, yeah, as it says, it fits with the prefers to be in the wilderness and tries to save animal and people from bad stuff happening, but that's about it. Most of the ranger subclasses do that. Let's move on then. Who was next? It was the Horizon Walker next. Horizon Walkers guard the world against threats that originate from other planes, or that seek to ravage the mortal realm with otherworldly magic. They seek out planar portals and keep watch over them, venturing to the inner planes and the outer planes as needed to pursue their foes. These rangers are also friends to any forces in the multiverse, especially benevolent dragons, fae, and elementals, that work to preserve the life and order of the planes. So, anyone who doesn't know the sort of planar geography of D&D, especially in my D&D, there's the inner planes. There's the inner planes, which consist of the material world that you guys live on. There's the Feywild, which is basically the like a mirror image of the real world. And there's the Shadowfell. And then there's the elemental planes, all of the fire and air and all of those planes. Those are all the inner planes. And then there's the outer planes where the gods and the angels and the devils all live. And all of this different... and then there's a few other planes as well that I won't get into. So the Horizon Walker is about trying to maintain the balance between all of these different planes. All of the areas where the plane of fire seeps over into the material world in like a volcano and stuff. Or the plane of water in the deep seas of the oceans. Sometimes monsters from those planes can come onto the material plane and cause havoc. And so the Horizon Walker is about making sure that those portals remain guarded and make sure that the monsters stay on the right side of the border effectively. So the plus side to that is that last week we did a Halloween special which delved into a particular story of Apis's background. The long and short of it was that Apis and their friend Lucara, from their childhood friend, they went out into the forest. They found a particularly dark patch of the forest called Diggon's Temple. And in this temple they found that there was a bit of a Fey influence from the Feywild. And there was a creature known as a Darkling that had somehow stumbled out of the Feywild and into this world, and it was wanting to get home, and it was a little bit dangerous in the meantime. Apis went missing. Lucara looked for them, and then they found an old man Jennings, who reluctantly played a little flute, conjured a portal in a tree, portal to the Feywild. Through which Apis and a suited gentleman known as Diggon wandered, and they opened up a portal to the Feywild, and not only that, but Apis did not then remember any of their time outside of this realm of existence. They don't remember how they got to the Feywild. They don't remember meeting Diggon, and they don't remember what they did there. So that influence definitely could tie into Horizon Walker if we wanted to choose to take this. It's a mighty class. One of the plus points of Horizon Walker is that it's super cool and super powerful, especially later levels. Let's show you some of the features that you get. So at 3rd level, if you take Horizon Walker, you learn the spell Protection from Evil and Good, and it doesn't count towards the ranger spells that you know. So that's just an extra spell that you know. You also gain the ability to magically sense the presence of a planar portal. As an action, you can see if there's a portal anywhere within a mile of you. That's pretty cool. But very circumstantial. Won't come in handy that often, but when it does, it really does. And finally, at 3rd level, you also get, so that you get 3 different abilities all at 3rd level. You learn to draw on the energy of the multiverse to augment your attacks. As a bonus action, you can choose a creature within 30 feet of you, and the next time you hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all the damage dealt by it becomes force damage, and it takes an extra d8 force damage. So the benefit to that is that I don't think there's a single creature in the monster manual that is resistant or immune to force damage. Force damage is like magic damage. and it will almost always do the full amount of damage. So if you are hitting a creature with a piercing arrow attack, and you know this creature is a ghost, for instance, that is either resistant to or immune to piercing damage, you can just turn your arrow for one attack of that round. You can just turn, as a bonus action, turn your arrow into a force arrow and do extra damage with it. So that's pretty useful. And then at later levels, you also gain abilities to teleport around the battlefield and things as you go. So as you're like stepping through a planar portal temporarily to like teleport over the battlefield. It's useful stuff. Can you use Planar Warrior on every attack as a bonus? No, it specifically says, as a bonus action, choose one creature. The next time you hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all damage dealt by that attack becomes force damage. So it's the next... if you have 2 or 3 attacks in a round for whatever reason, it's just the next one that you hit with that on that turn. All right. So that's Horizon Walker. It's all to do with protecting the planes and doing extra force damage and what have you, and then protecting yourself by teleporting around the battlefield. It definitely has roleplay tie-ins with with Diggin. Next up is Hunter. You can use it on every turn. It's as a bonus action, you just do it. If you've got nothing else to do with your bonus action that turn, then absolutely do it. You'd like to see more fairies, see what is planned for the storyline. I'm curious why we've been nudged towards this by the Halloween episode. You weren't nudged towards this. I put the Halloween episode in there because A, it gives you the option to take Horizon Walker, B, it gave you the option to take Gloomstalker, and C, it was, there was like 8 different reasons why I led the Halloween special the way it was. But two of the reasons for the Halloween special being set where it was that it would give you the options for Horizon Walker and Gloomstalker should you wish to take them. So a lot of people are for this one, just FYI. The next one is Hunter. So let's go back for the player's handbook and talk about Hunter. F, you wanted to throw a fox among the chickens. Yeah, I do. I always do. Another reason was that a lot of people, I didn't want everybody to be like, oh, well, we know Apis survives no matter how scary it gets. And I was like, well, you don't know Lucara survives. And I knew that the Feywild messed with people's memory. So I was like, so Apis, Apis survives, but you don't necessarily know what happened in their past. They don't need to be able to remember him to be able to do it. No, they know that they were in the Feywild because Lucara told them all about it. They were like, hey, by the way, you met an Archfey and went to the Feywild. And so they might be like, let's learn everything we can about the Feywild now. Alright. Next one is Hunter. Emulating the Hunter archetype means accepting your place as a bulwark between civilization and the terrors of the wilderness. As you walk the Hunter's path, you learn specialized techniques for fighting the threats you face, from rampaging ogres and hordes of orcs to towering giants and terrifying dragons. So you protect civilization from the wilderness. A lot of the PEA, the Penkempwyr en Emgylchedd, which is a faction within my world of druids and rangers that maintain the balance between outside and inside civilization and wilderness. A lot of the PEA would be hunter-based rangers. Even the rangers' spells are weird for Apis because they got used to them. The archetype could be very uncanny to Apis, but they'll adapt. Absolutely. So whatever subclass we take, Apis will adapt to it. We will all adapt to it. The story will adapt to it. We will make the story work. I will make the story work. At 3rd level, you would gain one of the following features of your choice. So not only do you specialize in choosing your archetype, but within the archetype, every time you get a new feature with it, you can choose a new cool feature with it. You can say Colossus Slayer, Giant Killer, or Horde Breaker. If you choose Colossus Slayer, then basically you're better at wearing down monsters with a lot of hit points. Because anytime you hit a creature with a weapon attack, the creature takes an extra 1d8 damage if it's below its hit point maximum. So you smell blood, effectively. And you see it's already wounded, you hit it in the wound, and you do extra damage. You deal that damage only once per turn. So you're good at doing extra damage to creatures with lots of hit points. Giant Killer. When a large or larger creature within 5 feet of you hits or misses you with an attack, you can use your reaction to attack that creature immediately after the attack, provided you can see it. So, for instance, in the last episode, the episode before, when the big ogre attacked you in the forest, whether it hit or miss, you would then be able to take opportunity of the fact that the ogre's like just made an attack, and then you lunge forwards and do extra damage yourself, and you can make an extra attack than you would otherwise be able to make. So you're good at hitting large creatures. And Horde Breaker. Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature that's within 5 feet of the original target. So if you shoot a goblin and there's another goblin standing next to him, you can make a free attack against that goblin next to him. Or if you're surrounded and you strike against a kobold, and there's another kobold standing on the other side of you, you can strike against both of them. That's pretty good stuff. Penkempuer en Emgelshed. Semi-keyboard mashers. Not quite. You're quite wrong. I'm sure I've typed it out somewhere for you guys. Just call it the PEA, which is what people call it anyway. So that's Hunter. There's a lot of benefits and drawbacks. So one of the benefits is that it's very much in character for Apis. Apis is a bit of a hunter already, and protector of people. They protect the civilizations and things, and they definitely hate the big green dragon at the end of the entire campaign. So the Colossus Slayer or Giant Killer would help with that. So I don't know. There's benefits. There's drawbacks. The drawbacks are that because this is a player's handbook one, it can feel a little bit underpowered compared to some of the Xanathar's classes. So a tough call. Your choice to make, though. A lot of people are very much for the Hunter as well. So Horizon Walker and Hunter are the two that are getting the most traction with people so far. But they're not the ones here, are they? Alright, and the final one we're going to talk about is Monster Slayer, which is very much like Hunter in a lot of ways, just a little bit more focused on slaying big monsters rather than a little bit more. So the Hunter you can specialize in one particular thing. Monster Slayer is a little bit more. I'm going to target one thing and take it down. What's Asmiel say? I think Horizon Warp will give the story a twist. Hunter will continue the story as it is now. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of thinking about it, I would say. You've dedicated yourself to hunting down creatures of the night and wielders of grim magic. A monster slayer seeks out vampires, dragons, evil fae, fiends, and other magical threats. Trained in supernatural techniques to overcome such monsters, slayers are experts at unearthing and defeating mighty mystical foes. So some of the features are that at 3rd level you get additional spells. Well, an additional spell at 3rd level, and then again at subsequent levels. You would, like with Horizon Walker, you would gain the spell Protection from Evil and Good, and it wouldn't count as a ranger spell. Wouldn't count as one of the ranger spells that you know. Hunter's Sense. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to peer at a creature and magically discern how best to hurt it. As an action, you choose one creature you can see within 60 feet of you, and you immediately learn whether the creature has any damage, immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities, and what they are. If the creature is hidden from divination magic, you sense that it has none. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You regain all expended uses of it when you finish a long rest. So to take us back here for a moment, you can see that our wisdom modifier is a +2. So you can use that feature twice against 2 different creatures per day, effectively. So you'd be able to look at a monster that you're about to fight and go, does it have any immunities? Does it have any resistances? Anything like that. So if you look at a creature and I say, yeah, it's immune to fire damage, you know to be like, I'm not going to throw my lit torch at it then, because that's pointless. At 3rd level, you also get the ability to focus your ire on one foe, increasing the harm you inflict on it. As a bonus action, you designate one creature you can see within 60 feet of you as the target of this feature. The first time each turn that you hit that target with a weapon attack, it takes an extra d6 of damage. So you lock on to somebody and be like, "You are my foe," and then they take damage every time you do it. It's kind of like Hunter's Mark in that sense. But then at subsequent levels, at level 7, 11, and 15, that the features from that Hunter's Mark gets better and better. So you get better and better at taking down one particular thing. So, but the downsides to that one is that a lot of people are turned off by the sort of inflicting harm and doing damage and killing things aspect of it. Because Apis, when we created Apis, one of the character traits we gave them was that they avoid conflict when possible, and they're not exactly a pacifist, but they won't start a fight. They won't necessarily try and kill something to end a fight. They'll always try and find a different resolution first. We definitely kill things when we need to. We are definitely not a pacifist by any stretches of the imagination. So please vote for whichever one of those you want to go for. Just so that you are informed, the two that are most popular at the moment are Horizon Walker and Hunter, but that's not to say that the other ones can't come in. I'll be doing a preferential voting system effectively, where I'll put up all 5 of them. The one that ends up with the fewest votes will get eliminated, and I'll put up the other 4, and again until one of them is the clear winner. Monster is a more OP hunter. Yes, it is. So Monster is the more OP hunter, but it doesn't have the advantages of other things. It's basically, I'm going to focus on one thing, do extra damage to it till it's dead, and that's all that it can do. You don't have the more broad ability choices that you do with Hunter. So I think with that, we might be ready to vote. Are you excited? Everybody has equal votes. We're in a democracy. Subclass should be ... And don't worry about, the last thing I'll say is that don't worry about like the wording. Like, words are only there to tell you, to get across what the mechanics of the role are. You don't have to, like, if we do end up with Monster Slayer, for instance, Apis doesn't have to become a sadist all of a sudden. Like, we can always re-flavor it. We can re-narrate anything we want as being like, you're doing the extra damage because of your conviction that this particular creature must go down for the good of everybody. Like, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like, I enjoy inflicting pain and I'm looking at the best way to inflict pain. We can reword it to be like, it's not the most amount of harm, it's the quickest, most efficient way to kill, to do the least amount of harm overall. Like, you're looking at the way to take it down quickest so that it is in pain for the least amount of time. So we can still flavor any of these subclasses as Apis. So don't be put off by, the word slay and be like, oh, there's connotations around slaying. All right, let's go with, because I'm going to do this multiple times as I eliminate them. I don't want to do it like a 10-minute duration or anything daft like that. But I think enough time for everybody to make sure that they can all vote. So I'm going to put it at 3 minutes for this first one, and we are started. So the winner of that round was Horizon Walker. The 2 clear losers were Beastmaster and Gloomstalker, so I'm going to eliminate both of them. In fact, at this stage, I think it's safe to say that I'll eliminate Monster Slayer as well. Let me just make sure that I'm doing this in the democratic way. If I eliminated both of them and they both happened to go for Monster Slayer, it still wouldn't be... Yeah, it still would be the last by far. So I'm going to eliminate Gloomstalker, Beastmaster and Monster Slayer. And we're going to put the vote down again to Hunter and Horizon Walker. Because theoretically, although Horizon Walker did have twice the votes that Hunter did, theoretically if Monster Slayer, Beastmaster and Gloomstalker, the people who voted for those, all vote for Hunter, then we could technically still be on the verge of switching here. I'm sorry, Wraith. That's how it worked. There were only 4 people voted for Monster Slayer, so even if I only eliminated the other 2 lowest, and they voted for Monster Slayer, it's not gonna gain the traction it needs. No revotes, Trump. This is how democracy is meant to work, Doc Barstool. It's not a re-vote. It's a preferential voting system. There is one choice to make, and basically it's Horizon Walker or Hunter. You got 3 minutes, and there we go. Much more closely aligned there. But with 56% of the vote, Horizon Walker wins. So it was rather close, but not close enough for a recount. Horizon Walker takes it away. Moist Yeti's rage quitting. Sorry to take your money and have you piss off, Moist Yeti, but I guarantee you will find it interesting. We will still have a very fascinating character, and they don't. It's not like every aspect of their personality suddenly changes to being a Horizon Walker. It's just something about them that is that is now different. The individual features of their class is now just different, but the rest of them is still the same. Much faster results than Pennsylvania. Yeah. All right. No rage quitting. You're not allowed to rage quit. Nobody. We have a winner. We are a Horizon Walker. All right. We're not done yet, by the way, guys. We've still got more decisions to make, because that was just our subclass. We've got one more decision to make, which is regarding our spell that we're going to take. Because at 3rd level, we gain a Ranger archetype. We gain Primeval Awareness, which, to remind you of Primeval Awareness and what that does, is as follows. Beginning at 3rd level, you can use your action and expend 1 Ranger spell slot, of which we have 3, to focus your awareness on the region around you. For 1 minute per level of the spell slot, which we only have 1st level spell slots for anyway. So for 1 minute, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within a mile of you, or, if you're within your forest, your favourite terrain, within 6 miles of you. Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The feature doesn't reveal the creature's location or number. So, I was looking this up earlier today in preparation, and I thought, that's kind of crap. So I've decided to homebrew a little bit of a difference to it. I allow you, if you're in your favoured terrain, I will allow you to know, to specify the range that you want it to go out to. It doesn't just go automatically to 6 miles out, because then you just get a bunch of white noise. You're in a forest and you say, is anywhere within a 6 mile radius of me got any of those creatures? Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. And I say, well, yes, actually, there's aberrations, undead, and elementals. And then you're like, okay, sweet. How far out are they? And I say, nope, not telling you. How many are they? I say, not telling you. You say, which direction are they? I say, I'm not telling you. It's kind of a useless, like, what's the point? So what I will say is that if you're in your favourite terrain, you can say, hey, are there any of these creatures within 300 yards of me? And or you can choose how far out it is, and I'll allow that to work like that. So we've got Primeval Awareness at 3rd level. We've got we've now chosen our Ranger's archetype as Horizon Walker at 3rd level, and the last thing we need to choose is one more spell. So the last little thing that we're going to do, if I find where I've done it, here's a Survey Monkey survey for you to go and choose which spells you like the sound of taking. So we have Cure Wounds and Zephyr Strike, and we get to choose another 1st level spell. I will actually, before we choose the spells, I will ask you if you want to swap out either of those spells, because every level we can choose one of our spells that we already know and swap it out in favour of another one. So let's do another poll here. Basically, we've got Cure Wounds, which is as it sounds. It can cure any wounds. You recover a hit. You recover 1d8 plus 2 damage to either yourself or a creature that you touch. Or we've got Zephyr Strike, which is a little bit more complicated to explain, but it gives you extra movement. It gives you immunity to opportunity attacks as you run around the field, and once per minute, once per combat, effectively, you can do extra damage with it. So that's a cool little spell that we've used once or twice already. Should we swap out Either spell? Question mark. All right, with an overwhelming 90% of the vote voted to keep both Cure Wounds and Zephyr Strike. Surprisingly, one person did say to swap out Cure Wounds, and two said to swap out Zephyr Strike. But they were by and far outnumbered by the rest, who said to keep both. So we're going to keep both spells, and we're going to introduce a third spell. So now I can introduce that. I don't know, I'm grabbing my book just out of habit there. So now I'm going to put in this survey monkey survey here. You guys can go there and tick all of the different spells that you like the sound of. So these are the ranger spells that we can know. We've got Absorb Elements. Absorb Elements is a first level spell. It's a reaction. Basically, if you're getting hit by elemental damage of the type acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder, if it's one of those 5 types of damage that's hitting you, you can, as a reaction, expend a spell slot to half that damage coming into you and then store it in your weapon for next time so that you can deal it back to the person who just tried to hit you. It's pretty useful sometimes, but it's quite circumstantial. Alarm. Alarm is one that is pretty useful for setting if you're out in the wilderness on your own and you don't want to keep a watch, or you can't keep watch because it's just you. You might want to alarm your perimeter. You make an area that's warded, and if anything moves into that area, you get a little mental ping or an audible bell. It's pretty useful. Circumstantial. Animal Friendship. This spell lets you convince a beast that you mean it no harm. If a wolf's about to attack you, or a big bear or something is about to attack you, even a Tyrannosaurus Rex, it's still a beast. You can choose a beast you can see within range. It must be able to see and hear you. If its intelligence is 4 or higher, it fails, so you can't really necessarily use it on a dolphin or an ape, which I think are intelligence 6. But otherwise, most beasts are intelligence 3 or lower anyway. The beast must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you. So if a T-Rex comes out of the forest, rah, 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 and then you cast, bam, Animal Friendship. It would, if it failed its wisdom saving throw, because it's only got a +1 to its wisdom, it would be charmed by you. And it would be like, no worries, mate. You're all good. I'm not going to eat you after all. So it can be a very powerful encounter stopping spell, that. But again, quite circumstantial. Beast Bond. This is a cool one. You establish a telepathic link with a beast that you touch that is friendly to you or charmed by you. So 1-2 punch. If you charm the T-Rex and then you touch it with this thing, then the spell fails if the beast's intelligence, blah, blah, blah. So you can't touch a sentient beast or an intelligent beast. Once the spell ends, the link is active while you and the beast are within line of sight of each other. Through the link, the beast can understand your telepathic messages with it, and you can telepathically communicate simple emotions and concepts. The beast gains advantage on attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that you can see. So you can then create a bond with this T-Rex and fight alongside it. That's pretty useful. We need to pick spells that will ruin Rob's plans to murder us. If I wanted to murder you, King, you'd be dead. An ape is too. T-Rex was a very large chicken with pointy teeth. Cure Wounds we've already got. Detect Magic does what it says on the tin. You cast it, and in an aura around you, within 30 feet, you can sense if there's magic in the area. That would be spells or magical items or anything like that. And then you can use your action on subsequent turns to focus that magic in. So if I say you've sensed magic around that tree, and then you use your action to focus on the tree, I will then tell you it's enchantment magic, or it's transmutation magic, or it's illusion magic. Very useful in a lot of circumstances. Detect Poison and Disease, much more circumstantial, but useful in the very small circumstances that it's useful. You can sense the presence and location of poisons and diseases, and the types that it is, blah blah blah. And poisonous creatures work in that sense as well. Doesn't get a lot of use, doesn't get a lot of love, but can be super useful. You won't necessarily have a way to deal with the magic, but you'll be able to know that there is magic there. And then source out here's the arcane runes, and maybe you can scratch them out and take away the magic. I don't know. Depends on the magic. Ensnaring Strike. Next time you hit a creature with the weapon attack before the spell ends, a writhing mass of thorny vines appears, and they must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained by the magical vines. A larger creature has advantage, blah blah blah. While restrained in this way, they take piercing damage, so it's thorny vines as well. So it's pretty useful. You can say, no, don't chase me, and you hit the thing, it gets wrapped up in thorny vines, you run away while it's taking thorny vine damage. It's useful stuff sometimes. Fog cloud. Just as it sounds, you create a big cloud of fog that creates a way for you to get away, or a way for you to blind your enemies or whatever. Easy peasy. Good berry. Pretty useful, circumstantial. It means you won't have to ever worry about rations, because eating one berry provides enough nourishment to sustain you for a day, and it regains a hit point. Good berry, yeah, so you create 10 berries, each one heals 1 hit point and provides enough nourishment for a day. I do rule in my games that because it's enough nourishment for 1 day, if you eat 2 of them, you start to feel a little bit stomach achy. If you eat 3 of them, you start to make constitution saves against throwing it up again, because you've just eaten 3 days worth of food in a day. And it'll start to take damage probably, which will negate the 1 hit point that it's done for you. Hail of Thorns. You shoot an arrow and it splits into a bunch of arrows and peppers a particular area with damage. So the creature you're attacking and everyone around it will take piercing damage. It's a good little horde breaker spell. Hunter's Mark, that's a useful one. You target a creature, you mark it, and you've seen it in previous episodes when our ally, the ranger, what the hell his name is, Verin, the ally of ours, he used Hunter's Mark. You mark a creature as like, this is my target, and every time you hit that creature it does more damage. And if that creature dies, you can use your bonus action to shift it to a different creature for as long as you're concentrating on it, up to an hour. Useful spell. Hunter's Mark is super useful. Yes, it is. Jump. Jump is a useful circumstantial one. You touch a creature, the creature's jump distance is tripled. Simple, straightforward. Couldn't be more obvious. Couldn't be more simple. Long Strider. You touch a creature and the target's speed increases by 10 feet. Easy peasy. So you can increase your speed and get around faster for an hour. Snare. It costs 25 feet of rope, which the spell consumes, so every time you cast it you need to have another 25 feet of rope. So you'd have to stock up on rope in order to be able to cast it lots. It takes a minute to cast, so you're not exactly casting it in the middle of a battle, you're casting it in preparation for a battle. You use the rope to create a circle within 5 foot radius on the ground or the floor. When you finish casting it, the rope disappears, the circle becomes a magical trap. The trap is nearly invisible, so they're going to almost always walk into it. And when a small, medium, or large creature moves onto the ground, it whips them up into the air and hoists them upside down 3 feet above the ground and is restrained there for 8 hours. They can make a dex save at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success and falling prone. Alright, that's a simple, easy one for trapping animals and things. Speak with Animals is the last one we'll talk about because we already have Zephyr Strike. Speak with Animals, just as it says on the tin, for 10 minutes you gain the ability to communicate with animals. Alright, so now that I've given you plenty of time to go through them all, I will have a little look at the survey and see how we're doing. Analyze the results. Those are the ones that have come in. You can see it. Can you outline Hunter's Mark with Planar Warrior? I don't get it. Absolutely, Asmiel. So Planar Warrior said... Let me just find it again. You're missing one, Rob. What am I missing, Sparrow? Animal Friendship wasn't on there, was it? Oh, bugger. My bad. My bad. I should put that on there. If you would have voted for Animal Friendship, put it in the chat now so that I can... average it out. Planar Warrior, as a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The next time you hit that creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all damage dealt with the attack becomes force damage, and the creature takes an extra 1d8 force damage from the attack. Alright. Hunter's Mark, on the other hand, takes a bonus action to cast, And then you choose a creature you can see within range and mystically mark it as your quarry. Until the spell ends, you deal an extra 1d6 damage to the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack. You have advantage on any wisdom perception checks or survival checks made to blah 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 blah. So how this would work in the midst of a fight is you would, on turn 1, if you force feed someone 10 good berries, it might pop. Might be that scene of gluttony in 7. Not that I've seen the movie, but I've heard about it. You would, turn 1, you would take your bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark, and you would make an attack or something, do something else with your action. So Hunter's Mark is now cast, and it's on the target. And let's say you attack with that first action, you hit it, and you do your regular damage, you do your regular arrow damage plus the Hunter's Mark damage. On your next turn, you then, Hunter's Mark's still going, because you're still concentrating on it for up to an hour. You're still concentrating on it, so Hunter's Mark is still active. But on the next turn, you can now, as a bonus action, because you can't take more than one bonus action on each turn. So you've used your bonus action on the first for Hunter's Mark, your bonus action on the second time, you can use it for this effect. You then use this on your second turn. The next time you hit the creature on this turn with a weapon attack, all the damage dealt by this attack, including the Hunter's Mark, will become force damage. So you'll do your weapon attack damage, you'll do your Hunter's Mark damage, and you'll do this extra d8 damage. And it'll all be force damage. So if they are resistant to piercing damage, for instance, not anymore, because it's now force damage. And you're doing a d8 for your longbow, a d8 for your planar warrior, and a d6 for your Hunter's Mark. And that would be an average of 12.5 damage. 12.5 force damage. So it would definitely stack because they come from 2 different named sources, Hunter's Mark and Planar Warrior. If this was called Hunter's Mark, you wouldn't get it again. But it isn't, so you do. All right. So Animal Friendship. Who would have voted for that? Because I can just add it again, I guess. Wraith wouldn't. Soj wouldn't. Katrina would have. Asmiel would have. Serendella would have. Looks like maybe just them. So just three people by the sounds of it would have actually voted for Animal Friendship if I didn't accidentally ignore it from the list. You'd have voted Hunter's Mark if you'd have remembered it. So if you use your bonus for planar and the thing dies, would we then have to recast Hunter's Mark the next turn? No, it's a bonus action to move it. It's a bonus action to move it once the thing dies. So as it says here, if the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to mark a new creature for up to 1 hour, which is pretty sweet. Marie would have also voted for Animal Friendship. Yeah, Hunter's Mark, we can learn it from Verin if necessary. Animal Friendship would have been useful in about every fight that we've been in so far. We have been attacked by a lot of wolves. And bees. Well, we weren't really attacked by bees, but... Alright. So like 4 or 5 people voted for Animal Friendship. So let's take it to this little list here and let's have a look. So 5 votes would have taken it to about the 30% mark. So I can do this again. I can do the similar thing as before. Take the top 5 and put it in a poll in chat. Take the top 5 options. Alright, what I'm going to do... I'm going to redo a Survey Monkey thing. I'm going to get rid of Goodberry, Detect Poison and Disease, the only one person. I'm going to get rid of any of the ones that only 1 or 2 or 3 people voted for. So basically this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Remake the survey, and I'm going to make sure I've included Animal Friendship. And then we're going to do it again. It's going to be a preferential voting system. Bing! There we go. New survey. Preferential voting. There you go. It's in action. We've eliminated Snare, Longstrider, Jump, Goodberry, Detect Poison and Disease, and Alarm. Select all of those spells, all of the spells that you would be equally happy with. Any spell that you would be like, I'm happy if we take this or this or this. Select those ones. All right, what are we all talking about? Booked a holiday, Marie. Where are you going? How are you allowed to holiday? Is it a staycation? As I've learned from the VLDL videos, detect magic is incredibly important. Of course, Ares, it's never wasted. It's never ever wasted if you don't use it at a ridiculous time. To be fair to Alan, though, I've messed that up a couple of times. Like, I've forgotten that it's a concentration spell up to 10 minutes. So he should, after casting it outside the mouth of the cave, he should have then, like, I should have mentioned to him when they walked into the cave, oh, you sense some magic within the cave, blah blah blah. But there's usually a lot goes on at the table between the time when he casts it and the time that we actually get to anything important, and so I generally forget. It snowed in New England last week. Now it's summer weather again. Nice. I like summer weather. Rob nerfs Goodberry so it isn't better than Cure Wounds. Yeah, correct. Goodberry is not as good as Cure Wounds, because and anyway, Goodberry isn't as good as Cure Wounds anyway, in my opinion, because you it's an action to eat one of the berries or something, isn't it? Doesn't it say that? I haven't used it in a long time, so I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it says as an action you can eat one of the berries. A creature can use its action to eat one berry. There you go. So if you wanted to eat 10 berries, you would have to use 10 actions, even if I didn't nerf it. So rules as written, it would take 10 rounds to eat all 10 berries. We do have a Sylvan to speak with animals. They can't exactly hold a conversation, but we can still speak to them and have mostly understood. Yeah. It is good to have food for 10 people, though. If, like, you come across a starving village or a village that's in the midst of a drought, or not a drought, a famine, you can just be like, here, have this food. That is a lot of thunder. Can you guys hear that? That is really rolling. I just carried on. Just continued it on and on and on. It's still going. It's still rolling. I can still hear it. That was a long thunderclap. There you go. There's your summary. Hunter's Mark, a clear winner. Hail of Thorns. Actually, I won't say clear winner, because preferential voting means that people who didn't necessarily vote for Hunter's Mark might still want it. All right, so these are some good spells. People are enjoying them. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take just the top 5. I'm going to take just the top 5, which are Hunter's Mark, Hail of Thorns, Fog Cloud, Detect Magic, and Animal Friendship. I'm going to take those 5, I'm going to put them in a poll in chat, and now you can only vote for the one that you want out of those 5. Start the poll. There you go. You can deliberate amongst yourselves. You've got 3 minutes to decide. 61% of the vote got Hunter's Mark, 14% of the vote for Hail of Thorns, 8% for the other 3. So Hunter's Mark it is. So we now need a Hunter's Mark command and whatnot in the chat. I will get on with that before next week. So thanks for that, guys. Let's get on to the actual game. We ended off the last session with having just finished a successful harvest of the prynn flowers. Pruning the prynn. We managed to harvest in the high 90% of the of what there was available to harvest. We almost harvested everything that there was because we rolled so well. However, staying up all night meant that we were up all the way till the sunrise, and we got a point of exhaustion, and now we are needing a bed very quickly. So I'll put it to you guys in the chat. I'll just put an unofficial kind of just gauging interest in with the chat rather than an actual poll. Where do you guys think Apis would want to sleep? Are they going to sleep with Githrin in their spare bedroom? Are they going to sleep out in the field somewhere, out in the underneath the stars, as it were, even though it's daylight now, underneath the canopy of the trees? Do we go back to the town proper and try and find a place to sleep there? dig a hole. Drop down in Githrin's place. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Githrin. All right. So we're gonna Githrin's happy for us to stay the night. Githrin's over the moon about what just happened. Like they expect, like, usually when the Tryndallaeth family are harvesting, they get in the high 90%. They get like 98-99% of everything there is to harvest. So to get, like, I'll just say 96% is what it was. To get 96% of what there was to harvest, they're very impressed, and so they're very happy indeed. And so Githrin stays up. It seems like they are used to pulling all-nighters when the time comes. And so you head into Githrin's place, though. They thank you for what you did and head you into their spare bedroom. I keep forgetting what I want to call it, because elves don't sleep, and so they don't really have bedrooms per se. They have meditation rooms, where often they'll want to sit down. The meditation room. Githrin leads you. Thank you very much for your help. I appreciate your services over the night. You've been phenomenal, and I couldn't have done it without you. And they lead you into their meditation room, where they've laid out a bed of sorts for you, and tried to close the curtains as much as possible. I think I said it's a guest room. Just guest room, yeah. I'll just say guest room. You lay down, closing your eyes against the early morning sunlight, hoping the twittering birds won't keep you awake, and wishing the room you were in was blocking out more of the daylight. As if willed by you, the room slowly deluminates, and the birdsong begins to fade to silence. The darkness is complete, and the silence is deafening. You open your eyes, and you can barely make out the canvas of the tent above you, and the soft breaths of Lokara beside you. You hear it again, the sound of hooves in dirt just outside the tent, and a clatter of rocks from near the campfire. Grasping your weapons and your quiver, you draw back the tent flap, and you crawl out into the pitch darkness of Diggon's temple, just as the fluttering of wings disappears into the trees beyond. Hesitating for a moment, you decide not to wake Lokara, instead stepping out to investigate alone first. You've always enjoyed the quiet solitude of Diggon's temple, ever since finding it a year or two before. But now the darkness, once a meditative deprivation of the senses, is an ominous blanket of deception behind which untold horrors lie in wait. You feel fear and dread seeping into you as you walk deeper into the trees, as well as a sense of hopelessness and defeat. You lean against a tree, and you find it cold to the touch. Finding a moment of clarity, you decide to light a torch, wondering why you didn't think to do so before. You're shocked to find that the wood around you is dead and petrified. The canopy is bare, and it's open, and the sky is dark and grey. Grey. It occurs to you only then that everything is grey. Even under the light of the torch, a torch which is unnervingly cold and dreary rather than warm and comforting, the wood and the ground is monochromatic. Panicking, you turn around and make your way back to Diggon's temple. As you move, the sense of hopelessness creeps in once more. It's useless, you tell yourself. I'm lost forever. Lokara's dead. It's all my fault. But another part of the mind steps up to take the helm, and you think, if I can find myself here, I can find my way back. It's not like I'm suddenly in a different plane, and there's a ray of light ahead. A strand of the earliest twilight has poked its way through a hole in the now leafy canopy, and excitedly made its lonesome way to the ground near your feet. You move quickly towards the light and happily recognize colour in the ground it illuminates. You follow the dawning of an early twilight and soon hear lively sounds of woodland critters and a babbling brook. You also see that the world around you is highly saturated in colour, vibrant and bright. You see movement on a tree, and a curious turquoise rodent scampers down, a long bushy tail trailing behind it and small nubbins of horns leading the way from atop its little head. You have no time to react to this peculiar animal, however, before the sound of wings catches you unaware from behind. You spin around just in time to get a face full of sparkling dust, and you're asleep before you hit the floor. Thank you, Dopnish. I will take it from here. You are dismissed. Your head swims as your heavy eyelids crawl open. You see that you're on your back on a soft surface, with a beautiful twilight sky above you, and standing near you, a dwarf man in a fine green suit and a brown top hat. "So," the dwarf says, "you're a horizon walker. Fascinating." He raises his fingers, and a vine sprouts beside him, quickly growing into a bloom, which blossoms out into a yellow buttercup. He plucks it from the vine and hands it to you as you sit up. It contains an amber liquid, and he conjures one of his own and takes a sip. You see a large white manor behind him, next to a lake. A horizon walker. I think we've got much to discuss. The dream fades into darkness, and you wake in the guest room of Githryn. What do you want to do? Take a leak. Does Apis recognize this as part of their missing memories? The dream definitely felt more real than a dream. It felt more like a memory than a dream. Go back to sleep and stalk the dude. We really need to go back to Shedridge. They must be getting pretty worried. Try and decipher the dream. There was more to it. Potentially there was more to it, but we woke up. We should go back to sleep. We've messed up the sleep schedule. So you wake up. You're not sure what time of day it is. The light's streaming in through the window. You walk over to the doorway of your guest room, and walk out into Githryn's place and see nobody in the house. You walk outside though, and you find Githryn is out there. Githryn is outside, and you're surprised you didn't wake up sooner because there's quite a lot of commotion going on. There's like half a dozen at least people, probably around 8 or 9 people in fact, all elves, all working away on various different areas of the farm, most of which I'd say, let's see who would be working where. There's 2 people who are sitting cross-legged by huge piles of things that you have harvested over the night. The petals, the leaves, the sepals, the heads, the stems, all harvested at different times of the night, and people are seemingly sorting them into groups of what, you're not sure, but they're sorting them. Another couple of people are working on, sitting around a large barrel. They're talking to each other in Elvish, just like having a laugh, as they've got a pile of the leaves and sitting next to them, and they are seemingly, as you walk over, you can see that they're tearing each leaf in half and then dropping it into the barrel. Each leaf gets torn in half and chucked into the barrel as they just chat about something or other. You can see that there's another elf that's got a board of like a woven fabric board surrounded with like a picture frame almost of wood. And then on that, they're laying out a bunch of these things. It seems to be the heads of the bit that has the stamen and whatnot in it. The head of each flower. They're laying them out on this woven fabric board, and they're putting them out. And you can see a few of them have already been laid out, and they're laying them out on the grass in a large thing. And looking up at the sun, you can tell that it's probably around midday. You've only slept for the morning, it seems. You feel tired, but your circadian rhythm's woken you up. Who else would be doing what? The other people. There's another barrel with some other people seemingly doing something. Actually, they wouldn't be putting it in the barrel yet. They're probably pulping them at this stage. The stems. People have got like mortar and pestle and seem to be like grinding the stems with them. And that's probably it. You do see Githryn, who is... Which one of these would he be doing? He's probably... He'd be working with the petals, wouldn't he? You see that Githryn is sitting in sitting at like a desk that he's got like just a single person desk sort of thing, and he's just sitting near the rest of them on a chair, and he's talking to them in Elvish, just chopping with a nice kitchen knife looking thing. He seems to be chopping the petals that you were harvesting. We could ask Varen what he meant, what thinks is directing the goblins. Yeah, you could do. So there's a lot of people we could talk to about what they're doing. We could ask somebody about the dream that we had. We could find Varen. We could find Mel. Which one do we wish to do? Shall we put it to a vote? I think we should put it to a vote. Actually, no. I think we should put it to a single person to decide. Find Mel or go back to sleep. We're not going back to sleep. Our circadian rhythm wouldn't allow for it. It's middle of the day and we are tired, but we've just woken up and we're feeling pretty awake at this point. Like we're tired but not sleepy, if that makes sense. Let's go to the giveaways. Let's go to this. Let's go to keyword and let's say. Let's put !dream, because why not? !dream if you want to be in with a chance to decide what are we gonna do? What should we do now? Should we talk to Githrin? Should we try and find Varen, our ally from the town that we originally found? Should we find Mel and talk to her about the dream? Should we go back to Shadridge and say our goodbyes to the people here? I don't know. Katrina XYL. Can we please go find Mel first, ask whether she had any prophetic dreams? Of course. Alright, so that's what we're going to do first. We see all these people clattering about, and we look around to see, we consider like going up to one of them and asking them what they're doing and asking if we can be of any help. And then we think, oh, I haven't seen Mel. Let's go find Mel. So we go over to one of them and Githrin looks around and says, oh, you're awake. It's I didn't expect you awake so soon. You sure you're not an elf? I'm definitely gonna sleep like the dead tonight. Don't worry. Have you seen Mel around, my bee friend? And he says, well, let's have a look. Has he seen Mel around? Yeah. Yes, she was here last night helping with the things, and then she stayed up for a little while after you went to bed, and then she went back towards the main town and had a little sleep at that point. Yeah, that's right. So we say thanks very much, and we set off that way. He sends us back towards the town proper. We walk out of the field and back the direction of the main town proper. And then she actually meets us on the way. We hear her before we see her. We hear this that's coming our direction, and we sure enough see this giant bee round one of the trees and come towards us. And we sort of wave her down. Use one of our newfangled. I'm gonna have to start shouting to be heard over the bloody rain. This is crazy. Azazel. Is it Azazel? If I can specify further, I'd love for us to go to Githrin and offer to help with the prynn processing, with the hopes that we can find an opportunity to ask him about the elemental planes. Seems very learned with his library full of books. He is very learned, yeah. Learned about the things he knows. Alright, we'll talk to Mel about hers, and then we'll go and talk to Githrin. I love how she buzzes in French. I like that you've noticed, Miss Bowman. We flag her down with our cool new, what do you call them, commands that we've gotten. Not commands, what are the signals? We came up with some signals for us to work with each other that don't require voice, and we rolled really well on that. We came up with some specified sign language that works between us, and she comes down and bees cant. Yeah, that's right, it's bees cant. I like it. It's French buzzing. Buzz. And she lands near us. Good morning, Apis. How are you feeling this morning? Are you still tired? I'm tired. I'm very tired. But I'll be fine after tonight. It was definitely worth it. Like we got so many of the flowers. I didn't expect. Like I knew that we were getting a lot like at the time, but I didn't realize how many we were getting until like I just seen them all piling up now. Did you see them? She said,
Yes, I had to leave. It was getting a bit intoxicating for me. All of that smell and all of the flower, it was enticing, and I couldn't help myself but to get close. So I needed to get away. Otherwise, I might have done something. That might have botched up their flowers or something. I needed to get.
Yeah, I understand that. It was almost intoxicating for me just with the bloody smell of it as well. I don't know how they work in it all day. Listen, before I forget, I had a strange sort of night. I had another dream. You know how we were talking about that happened a few nights ago. I had another one, and I was wondering, did you have anything? And we watch her reaction. Hard to read with her being a bee. She doesn't have much of in the way of facial expressions, but she says,
Yes, I did. It is very unnerving for me. I do not dream in that way, and now I have dreamt twice in the last week. I'm unfamiliar with it, and I'm not sure that I like it. But what was your dream about? And we explained the dream as best we remember it. It was something that happened to me. Like I don't know, like must have been like 15 years ago or something. I was in the forest back home with a friend, and I went out of the forest because there was like in the middle of the night there was a sound that woke me, and I went out to investigate it, and I found myself like I found myself like in a dead forest, and then I found that I was like, and then I turned around and it was not dead anymore. It was like it was like more alive than I've ever seen a forest. It was vibrant and saturated, and the colours were bright, and the animals were there was like a squirrel, but it was like turquoise in colour, and then I was talking to a dwarf in a suit who called me something, and he said something about I was like a horizon stepper or something. I can't remember what he said, but it was something strange, and I think it was a memory. I'm told that I was found like way back at that time. I think it actually happened because my friend Lucara told me when I returned. She told me that I had been away for an entire day, and I couldn't remember it. And when I returned, I was with this elf that had like a green suit and a top hat, and this dwarf in my dream was also wearing a green suit and a top hat. So I think it was real. I think it was a memory of that time, but I don't know why I'm suddenly remembering it 15 years later. What's your what was your dream about? She says, I was flying in a field of the prynn flowers, and then I was covered in the pollen from the flowers, and then I shook it off. I shook, and it came off of me, and it made like a cloud, and there was I was in the mountains. I've never been to the mountains, but I was there. I was in the flowers, and then I was not in the flowers, and I do not know why, but I do not understand. Well, sometimes in dreams it happens that like the place you're in just like shifts, and you don't realize why it's shifted, but it's just a normal sort of thing of dreams. Is that sometimes your brain's just trying to like, I think it might be the gods trying to tell us things sometimes, and we don't speak their language. Well, it was very strange that I was in the mountains, but below me I saw the pollen falling to the ground in like a cloud, and it fell over the top of this village, this camp. And in the camp there were people, and large people, larger than you or even the elves. And then some of them, when they saw me, they fell asleep. I do not know what it meant, but I was confused and scared. I'm sorry that you felt that way, but do you feel any different now? I do not know. Maybe I feel a little bit different. All right. What sort of have you tried actually rolling in pollen or anything? I do not feel like I need to. I do not need to make the honey. So but like you said, you were covered in pollen to begin with. Maybe it's something to do with that. Like maybe if you try it again. I'm okay. I'm here with you in case you don't have to try it. But if you do want to, maybe something will happen. Maybe you'll get a feeling of something that comes from being covered in pollen. I think maybe another time. Aye, no problem. Listen, do you want to come back with me there? I really want to speak to Githrin about some things. I want to know. I've got a few questions for him. Do you reckon you can handle yourself around it? I think so. I think I can handle it now. And she starts to fly alongside us as we sort of walk and talk, making some small talk with our giant bee companion. We walk back towards Githrin's place. What do we want to do now? So Katrina said, love for us to go and offer help with the prynn processing. So that's what we're going to do now. So we walk back there as we're arriving. Everybody's doing pretty much the same tasks as before. But it seems like as we're arriving, they've all started singing a song together. A song that we don't recognise because it's an elvish song, an elvish little work ditty that they're singing. It's got a very rhythmic sort of nature to it, and they're singing along and ripping the leaves, placing them in the bucket, ripping a leaf, placing it in the bucket, talking and singing. The people are mashing the mortar and pestle in a very rhythmic kind of way, and chopping the petals with the kitchen knife. We need to get Mel some pollen before we leave. Yeah, it seems like it. This part of Apis' brain really wants to learn Elvish. Looks like they got a good rhythm going. Maybe we shouldn't butt in. It's up to you guys. What do you think? What do you want to do now? Do we want to join in and like try and join in with something that they've got going on, or just like try and harmonise with the panpipes, or what do you guys feel? Let's cancel that one. Let's roll another one. Let's go exclamation mark song. Exclamation mark song if you want to decide what it is that we should do now. It seems that Apis and Mel both had a prophetic dream. We need to at some point we probably need to talk to Verin and learn Hunter's Mark from him. Just for thematic senses, it would be nice to have some reason for us to have actually learnt it before we use it. But we've got plenty of things that we could help with in the prynn processing. Wish that green suit dude woke us up by suddenly knowing Elvish. I mean, sometimes subclasses and things come with a new language to learn, but no such luck with this one. So exclamation mark song if you want to decide what to do now. We've found that our bee companion has had another prophetic dream that had something to do with shaking off pollen from herself and finding it drifting down to a group of large humanoids, large people in the mountains. for some reason, who then fell asleep. Yeah, we need to talk to Verin about the thing that he mentioned about the goblins being strategic. We need to talk to Verin about learning Hunter's Mark. We need to eventually go back to Shadridge and tell them the stuff that we haven't told them in ages. We could stay around here to see when they get the salves created, when they finish making the salves and potions, and see if we can have some for free. We're back at Githrin's place, watching them do their stuff. They're doing their stuff with the prynn at Githrin's place, at the edge of the fields. That's right. So we could leave them to it, go back to the village, talk to somebody in the village. We could try join in. We could try and sing along with our panpipes, try and play along rather. We could talk to Githrin we could just wait it out. Songs don't last forever. We could just wait a few minutes, and when they seem to be finishing or getting to a lull, we can ask. I'm just giving people more chance to get in Mystical Gun. 3, 2, 1. Mystical Gun. There you go. You did. Can anyone go help the guys handling the flowers that have been harvested? All right, no worries. We'll offer some help with the flowers. You want to help the guys doing the leaves specifically. All right. We decide to head over to the two guys that are the two people that are tearing the leaves and plopping them in the barrel. And as we walk over, we can see that the leaves are being dropped into water inside the barrel, or some sort of clear, odorless liquid. So we walk over to the two that are tearing leaves and popping them in the barrel. We see that they're being dropped into the thing. One of them turns and sort of nods at us, doesn't seem to understand, doesn't seem to speak common, or at least doesn't volunteer anything. But the other one looks over and finishes singing his song, and everybody else continues, but he breaks off. He breaks off to say, "Hello, you're Apis, right? I watch with you in the night to see you. You do a good cut. You do good cut of flowers." And you sort of nod. Thank you. You too. What are you doing here? What is this? We make cut and put in the barrel, and then we make the fire underneath, and then it makes for the water gets really hot. And when the water gets hot for 1 full day, then we take the you say leaf. We take the leaf out, and then we put in from it's made from we make it from the skin. We make it from skin of animal, boiled and made, and sometimes the pig. Yes, pig feet. Yes, but on the foot of pig, the trotter or the hoof. Yes. The trotter of hoof. We use that, and we boil down and make it's sticky and we put that in the leaf, and it makes a sort of a paste, that makes to put on bad when you are hurt. You put this paste on, and it makes you better. Oh, I think I saw some of the some of that salve stuff. Somebody used it on me. Delwa actually used some of that salve on me and my ribs, and really worked. Is this is how you make the salve? The yes. Oh right, very nice. That's really interesting. I'm not sure about the pigs thing that you're talking about, but I'm interested to learn. Is there anything I can help? Can I help with Terran? Yes. Take some of the leaves, and he shows you that you're tearing them sort of midways, so leaf shape. That way, you want to tear it this way, and put it in. Just one cut into barrel, and so you do this, and you start to place them in, and you're helping out as best you can. You sort of pass the time speaking as in sort of broken common with this guy. We try talking in Sylvan to him, but he doesn't speak Sylvan. We can ask the fair elf friend about Horizon Stepper while we help him. Yeah, sure we do. We ask him about. Have you ever heard about a Horizon Stepper? Horizon Walker, maybe? Horizon... I think it was Horizon. Horizontal? No. Horizon. I'm pretty sure it was Horizon Stepper or Horizon Walker or something. Have you heard of that? And he says, no, I'm afraid... he's not French. Wales. I'm sorry, no, I haven't heard of that. Is it a food or... No. I had a dream where somebody said that I was a Horizon Stepper or something, a Horizon Walker. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. I wouldn't be able to help with that. Gelatin is a protein obtained by boiling skin, tendons, ligaments, and bones with water. Correct. You realise as you're talking to him that he was probably talking about gelatin. They take gelatin and the mash that is left over from boiling these leaves for an entire day. They boil the leaves for a whole day, and then they take that, they mix in some gelatin and some other stuff that he hasn't gone into detail about, and then there's probably some other process to it that he hasn't talked about yet, and then you end up with the salve that gets it down into the skin, gets it right down into the bones. You tear it across the vein part down the middle of the leaf. Yeah, you tear it perpendicular to the vein that runs down the leaf. Does he know anyone who knows about dreams? Well, let's find out, do we? Actually, let me look at the NPCs of this town. Potentially, yeah. Let's have a look. In fact, no need to roll for it. Yeah, he says when we ask, do you know anyone who knows anything about dreams? He says yes. Kaelin knows a lot about the spirits, about the spiritual world and dreams. So maybe Kaelin is good to talk to. You know that Kaelin is the spiritual leader and elder of this town. The one that you helped to save during the initial fight, the initial battle on the town. Kaelin got her lower legs crushed, but was up and walking about within a day because of the salves of Delwa. He suggests to talk to Kaelin. He also, as we're considering to go and talk to Kaelin, he says, you could also, if you need to know things about if you need to know things you don't know, the people who live in Aruchel are good with things that that have not happened yet. They are good with knowing things of the future. Yes. And so he explains that Arachel is very, very much involved with people who know they're astrologers and diviners, and they would be good to talk to about dreams and future and portents and all of that sort of stuff, were it not for the fact that they're all assholes. Or they're potentially all assholes. The ones that you've met from Arachel have been very, very much assholes. So we've helped them with the placing of these leaves. By the time we're finished, maybe like an hour later, we're getting pretty hungry, and we've run out of the leaves. The leaves are all in the barrel. It's pretty full to the top now, and they don't cover it because they want it to boil off. That's the whole point of it. And then they light a fire underneath it and start it up. Where do we go from here, guys? Who wants to decide on the next thing? Does he know if pollen can make people sleep? Let's see. Would this guy know about that? There's a chance he would know about that. Let's have a look. We ask him about that. We ask him if pollen can put people to sleep that he knows of, and he says that there is magic in some plants that can put people to sleep. If you want sleep, if you need to sleep more, there is some potions. Delwa can make potions to help you sleep more, and it seems like maybe there is, maybe there isn't. There's a little bit of a language barrier that potentially he doesn't fully understand the question, but yeah, it's definitely possible that there could be plants or pollen that would put people to sleep. One of the acolyte sisters ask for us. Yeah, so Kaelin and what's her name? Kaelin and Sathan and Kaelin. They know. They might know things, given that they're spiritual leaders and elders and acolytes of Yolashti. Can we go talk to Kaelin about our dreams? Sure thing. Why not? So we say goodbye to these two, and we say goodbye to these two, and we make our way on the road back towards the village proper. And as we arrive, we look for Kaelin. Doesn't take us very long to find it. It's a very, very, very small village, so it doesn't take us very long to find her. And we start to ask her about our dreams as well. We make small talk first and tell her about what we've been doing and how we helped with the harvest, and it went really well. And yes, I heard it had gone so well. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see all of the progress you've been making. I'm a little busy here at the moment, but I'm very excited to see that it's going so well. And I'm sure that Delwa will be very, very pleased with the progress as well. And then we get on to talking, like we say, also, by the way, had a strange dream. Do you know anything about dreams? I do know quite a lot about dreams. It was a fascination of mine for a while. We don't really dream per se. We meditate, and sometimes we get visions through that, but it's not really the same as what I imagine dreaming must be for people who properly sleep. So tell me, what was this dream about? And she takes you off to the side and sits you on like a wooden bench that's just outside of her house in kind of like a garden. She's got a nice bush that's been tended well, and a little rock path up to her place. There's a little bit of a water feature at the bottom of her garden. She sits you on this wooden bench. What have you had happen to you in your dreams? And we explain the whole dream. Right.
And they said you're a horizon walker. Eh? That's a term I haven't heard in quite a while. You've heard it? Yes. A horizon walker is someone who... They're quite rare. They come about through mystical circumstances. But they're not bound to the same planes as the rest of us. They can step between them in ways that others can't. I'm sorry, you're losing me. Do you know of the planes of existence? I mean, I know that there's the planes where people go when they die, and there's this planes here, and there's the Feywild. I know that. Yes. There's plenty more though. There's lots of planes. There's the Feywild, and there's the Shadowfell, and there's the elemental planes, and the chaos planes. There's the astral sea and the ethereal plane. There's a lot of them. The thing is, they're all separated bubbles. To get from one to another requires a point of contact between the two planes. A portal, if you will. But for Horizon Walkers, everything exists all at once, all in the same plane. And sometimes they can step from one to another without the need for portal. Right. It's said that Horizon Walkers have within them the energy of creation. The force energy within them that was abundant in the universe before the worlds themselves were created, before the planes themselves were created. And that Horizon Walkers are people who are born imbued with the force magic of the gods, and as such they can step from one world to another. Have you ever found yourself in another world? I mean, in the stream I found myself in the Feywild. Did you find yourself anywhere else in that dream? What do you mean? You explained that you found yourself surrounded by cold and dark, and a sense of hopelessness. I mean, it was dark, it was scary. But you're used to dark forests, are you not? Aye. Have you ever felt yourself feeling hopeless and scared in that same way? No, but I mean, what's that got to... There is a plane known as the Shadowfell. It is a dark and... It is a dark and dangerous mirror to this material world, where the colour has been drained from it, and hope has as well. I think perhaps you stepped into the Shadowfell before you stepped into the Fey. And without a portal, I think this dream was a memory. And I think you stepped through the planes. Stepping into the Fey is not an easy task. The transition between the Feywild and our plane has been long since guarded by the Archfey. They keep a very stringent track of who moves between this world and that. There are a limited number of portals between here and the Feywild, and they are guarded. So for you to step through unwillingly, without even the use of a portal, that would definitely outline you as a Horizon Walker. That's a very exciting thing. And that's where we're going to leave it tonight.